y'all, it's Maddie from the Itty Bitty Homestead Committee, and today I am going to show you how you sandwich and baste your quilt. So let's hop into that. First thing you're going to want to do is gather all your materials. So first thing you're going to need is your quilt top, your backing, your batting spray. You can use pins if you want. I hate pinning batting. I prefer the spray. Some paper towel rolls or Christmas rolls, an iron, and a dowel rod. So let me show you how we do this. First thing you're going to want to do is to heat your iron up, and you're going to want to press all the seams on your top quilt so they lay flat. So if you look at all of my seams here, except for this little misbehaving one right here, they are all flat to the quilt top, and that just makes it easier to quilt over. Next, I'm going to take my quilt top and I am going to roll it on the rod. You want the quilt top to face downwards so that you roll it just like this onto it. The reason I use the dowel rod just to roll it is so that it rolls more evenly and your quilt top doesn't get crooked when you're rolling it on your rolls. This makes it to where I can use these Christmas style tubings to do king size quilts all the way down to baby quilts, and it's just really helpful, and you'll see why here in a minute. And if you look, yes, Sydney does clunk me in the head here. It hurt. Here's what your quilt top will look like rolled. And you're going to want to do the same thing with your batting on the other tube to prepare it. Next, you're going to take your backing and lay it out on the ground with as few wrinkles as possible. I like using old bed sheets. You can get them from Goodwill from really cheap, or you can steal them off of your bed sets because no one actually uses them. Next, you're going to lay your batting on top of your backing and just smooth out any of the wrinkles that you really see. As you can see, my backing is huge, but there's a purpose. Then you're going to take your top quilt and place it over the batting and align it the way you want it, and have that topper just slightly above where the roll is on the batting. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over that top quilt like so that I can start spraying my batting down. So I'm going to take the corner of my batting like this, pull it up, and spray it on the corner. Once I stick that corner down, I'm going to roll up my batting and spray in a straight line along the edge so that I have a good foundation to stick my batting on. Now, don't ask me the amount of times I took that cap off with my finger because I accidentally got the batting glue on my fingers. I have had trouble with this can forever, and I wish they made it a little better, but it's still better than pinning. I'd rather glue on my fingers compared to pins. But you're going to pin that corner with the batting glue on the other side, just like you did here, and you're going to then press it down as good as possible. Once you have that batting good and glued down, you are going to repeat the process with the corner of the top quilt, working your way along the edge to the other side so that it is glued on top of the batting appropriately so that you can start moving down the quilt. I will say I like my batting to be slightly smaller than my top quilt because it allows me to cut off those raw edges before I do the binding of my quilt, but this is totally preference. Some people prefer that their batting be just as large or larger than their top quilt. It's totally personal preference, and do what works for you. I just like it better this way. Now comes the fun part. You're going to spray in front of your batting roll. So you see how you have the two rolls of tubing? You're going to spray in front of it and then slowly start to unravel your batting and your top quilt bit by bit by bit. I like to spray every 3 to 4 inches so that you have a good sturdy foundation, but when you're quilting, the quilt still has a little bit of give so that you can kind of play with any seams or wrinkles that you might accidentally get in the process. And again, you're going to spray down the batting, and then you're going to spray the top quilt, roll it out. Once it's rolled out appropriately, you're going to press both of them together like a lovely little fabric sandwich like so. You're going to repeat this process, slowly unraveling everything and spraying until you get to the end of your quilt like this, where you start seeing the paper towel roll. And again, you're going to be extra adherent to making sure that your edges stick. Make sure you are smoothing out any wrinkles as you go. The fewer wrinkles you have on the backing, the easier and nicer your quilt is going to look in the end. Once you have your batting glued down, you want to cut the backing to your preferred width. I prefer about 2 finger lengths out from the top of the quilt, and I couldn't find my scissors. Don't know where they went. They're good fabric scissors, so I need to find them, but I just used my rotary blade and a mat underneath, and I thought y'all would like a very weird angle here to watch me almost cut my fingers off, because I almost cut my fingers off every time I use that. So once you cut the backing off, this is kind of what it looks like. You want a little bit, once again, for that little give on the back for any wrinkles or any seams you need to smooth out. But that's about it. Once I do that, I do check all of my corners to make sure that they are appropriately sprayed down. And a lot of times I do need to respray them just because they're being kind of like wiggled around and it like messes with the glue. And then I just kind of let them sit. I'll leave my quilt on the ground to dry probably about overnight for at least 8 hours, just to make sure the pieces don't fall apart and it's ready to be quilted. But that is how I do my quilts, and that is how I sandwich and baste and do all that lovely stuff. So I hope this is helpful for y'all, or at least y'all were entertained, and I want to thank y'all so much for getting to the end of this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.